Have you ever been in a room full of people and felt completely invisible? And then, suddenly, someone looked at you, not a glance, not a casual sweep of the room, an actual, intentional, sustained look directly into your eyes. And in that single moment, something shifted. Something in your chest, something in your breath. Something you couldn't explain with logic or language, but your entire nervous system recognized it immediately. That person saw you, not your clothes, not your hairstyle, not the social mask you carefully constructed before you walked in the door. They saw you, the actual you, and something in them responded to something in you, and the connection was almost electric. Now here's what's fascinating. That moment wasn't an accident. That look wasn't random. That person wasn't just staring off into space and you happened to be in the way. Science tells us that sustained, meaningful eye contact is one of the most sophisticated social behaviors in the entire animal kingdom. And human beings are extraordinarily unique in how we use it. We are the only species on Earth whose eyes have white sclera, the whites of our eyes, making it possible for others to track exactly where we're looking. Researchers believe this evolved specifically for social communication. In other words, your eyes were literally designed by evolution to connect with other human beings. And when someone uses that biological gift to look deeply at you, to hold your gaze a moment longer than social convention requires, they are sending you a signal that goes deeper than words, deeper than any text message, any social media post, any carefully crafted sentence. They are telling you, without saying a single word, you matter to me. But eye contact is just the beginning, because genuine, deep human connection doesn't live in one sign. It doesn't announce itself with a neon sign or come with an instruction manual. It reveals itself in layers, in small, quiet, often overlooked moments that most people walk right past without ever noticing. Until today. Today, we're going to walk through 20 signs that someone feels deeply connected to you. And we're going to go far beyond the surface level. We're going to explore the psychology, the neuroscience, the evolutionary biology, and the profound human meaning behind each one of these signs. By the time we're done, you will never look at human interaction the same way again. You'll notice things you've never noticed before. You'll understand moments that previously confused you. And perhaps most importantly, you'll recognize the people in your life who are genuinely, authentically, deeply connected to you. And you'll understand just how rare and precious that truly is. So let's begin. Sign number 1, the lingering gaze. What happens in your brain when someone truly looks at you? Let's start exactly where our title promises, with eye contact. Because while most people understand that eye contact is important, very few people understand why it's important at the neurological level, and that understanding changes everything. When someone makes eye contact with you, something remarkable happens in your brain. The amygdala, your brain's emotional processing center, the part responsible for detecting threat and safety, lights up with activity. But here's the crucial part. Whether it lights up with fear or with connection depends entirely on the quality of the eye contact being made. Brief, darting eye contact activates threat responses. It reads as predatory, uncomfortable, socially aggressive. But sustained, warm, soft-focused eye contact does something completely different. It triggers the release of oxytocin, commonly called the bonding hormone or the love hormone, in both the person making the eye contact and the person receiving it. Think about that. Just by looking at you in a certain way, someone can literally change your brain chemistry. But here's the sign we're talking about specifically, the lingering gaze. Not the normal, socially comfortable eye contact that lasts 2 to 3 seconds before someone looks away. The gaze that holds a beat longer. The gaze that says, "I'm not in a hurry to look away from you. Psychologist Zick Rubin conducted research decades ago that found people deeply in love spent significantly more time gazing into each other's eyes compared to people who were merely fond of each other. But what's remarkable is that this lingering gaze phenomenon isn't exclusive to romantic love. It appears in deep friendships, in profound mentor-student relationships, in parent-child bonds that have been carefully and lovingly built over years. When someone holds your gaze a moment longer than necessary, when they seem genuinely reluctant to look away from you, they are communicating something their conscious mind may not even be fully aware of yet. I find something in you worth staying present with. And there's another layer here that's even more fascinating. Research in psychology and neuroscience has found that when two people feel deeply connected, their eye contact becomes synchronized. There's a natural, unconscious rhythm to it. A dance of looking and looking away that feels comfortable, that feels right, that feels nothing like the awkward staring contest or the anxious avoidance that characterizes interactions where genuine connection is absent. So the sign isn't just that they look at you longer, it's that looking at them feels good. It feels safe. It feels like arriving somewhere you want to be. When someone feels deeply connected to you, their gaze is an invitation, not a demand. It's a warmth, not an interrogation. And somewhere in the oldest part of your brain, the part that remembers everything your ancestors ever knew about safety and belonging, you recognize the difference immediately. Sign number 2. They remember the small things, the science of selective memory. Here's a question for you. What do you actually remember about the people in your life? Not the big events, not the birthdays or the anniversaries or the dramatic moments. Think smaller. Think about the texture of daily conversation. Think about the offhand comments, the passing observations, the casual mentions of preferences and worries and little joys. Do you remember what your closest friend ordered the last time you went to coffee? Do you remember the name of the co-worker's cat that your colleague mentioned once, 3 months ago, in passing? Do you remember what that person told you they were nervous about in a conversation that lasted maybe 4 minutes on a Tuesday afternoon? Probably not, unless you feel a deep connection to them. And that's not a character flaw. That's human neuroscience. Our brains are constantly flooded with information, and the hippocampus, the brain region primarily responsible for forming and storing memories, makes constant, unconscious decisions about what to encode and what to let fade. The primary criterion for encoding information into long-term memory is emotional significance. In plain language, we remember what matters to us. So when someone remembers the small things you've told them, when they circle back to a worry you mentioned weeks ago and ask, "Hey, how did that situation turn out?" When they remember that you prefer your coffee a specific way, or that you have complicated feelings about a particular subject, or that you once mentioned wanting to visit a place you've never been, they are giving you a window into their inner world. You are emotionally significant to them, not in a casual surface-level way, at a level deep enough that their brain decided, without being asked, to hold on to information about your life. This is one of the most quietly powerful signs of deep connection, because it happens without any performance. You can't fake a 3-week-old memory the same way you might fake a compliment in the moment. When someone remembers something small that you said, they couldn't have prepared for the moment. They simply remembered, because you matter enough to remember. There's a beautiful irony here too. People who feel deeply connected to you often feel slightly self-conscious about how much they remember. They worry about seeming like they pay too much attention. They might hesitate before bringing up something you said a long time ago, uncertain whether referencing it will seem strange. But here's what that hesitation actually reveals. They're aware of how much space you occupy in their thoughts. And that awareness itself is a sign of connection. The next time someone says, "I remember you mentioned," pay attention to what follows. because what follows is evidence of where they've been keeping a part of their attention, and that's one of the most intimate gifts one human being can offer another. Sign number 3. They mirror your body language, the unconscious dance of connection. Walk into any coffee shop and look around. Find two people who are clearly deeply engaged with each other. Old friends reunited, a couple deeply in love, colleagues who genuinely enjoy each other's company. Now watch their bodies. Lean in the same direction. Check. Similar posture. Check. One crosses their arms, and within 30 seconds, the other does too. One tilts their head slightly to the left, and the other tilts almost the same way moments later. This is called behavioral mirroring, and it is one of the most reliable, thoroughly researched signs of genuine human connection in all of social psychology. Here's why it happens. Human beings have something in our brains called mirror neurons. These are neural cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action. They are the neurological foundation of empathy, the reason you wince when you see someone stub their toe, the reason you feel the edges of someone else's sorrow when they describe it to you. When someone feels deeply connected to you, their mirror neuron system becomes highly attuned to you specifically. Their brain is tracking your movements, your expressions, your postures, not consciously, not deliberately, but automatically, as a biological expression of psychological attunement. They are literally, at a neurological level, trying on your experience from the inside. And the remarkable thing about behavioral mirroring is that it creates a feedback loop. Research has found that when people mirror each other's body language, it not only reflects connection, it actually deepens it. The physical act of being in sync with another person's body sends signals to both nervous systems that say, "We are aligned. We are safe with each other. We are the same." But here's an important nuance. The mirroring that signals deep connection has a specific quality to it. It's not immediate robotic copying that actually reads as strange and uncomfortable. The mirroring of genuine connection has a slight delay, a softness, a naturalness to it. It's more like an echo than a copy. It arrives the way an honest response arrives, a beat after the original, shaped by the receiver's own nature. You can also pay attention to what kinds of movements they mirror. People who feel deeply connected to you don't just mirror your big, obvious gestures, they mirror the small ones, the subtle shift in your posture, the way you hold your cup, the direction you angle your body. These micro mirrors reveal a depth of attunement that only comes from genuine care and presence. The next time you're with someone who matters to you, don't look for this consciously. That will make you self-conscious and break the natural flow. But afterward, reflect back on it. Were your bodies moving together? Were you leaning toward the same center? Chances are, if the connection is real, they were. Sign number 4, they seek your opinion. The psychology of valued perspective. What do you think? 4 words, simple, ordinary, seemingly unremarkable. But pay close attention to who in your life asks you these words, and more importantly, what they do with your answer. When someone feels deeply connected to you, they don't just tell you things. They actively want to know what you think about things. Not in a performative way, not as a social nicety, but with genuine curiosity about the contents of your mind. This behavior is rooted in a concept psychologists call reflected appraisal, the phenomenon by which we understand ourselves partly through how we are perceived by others who matter to us. When someone whose opinion we value tells us what they think of something, it doesn't just inform us about that thing, it gives us a window into how a person we respect sees the world, and by extension, how they see us. When someone consistently seeks your opinion on decisions large and small, on questions important and trivial, they are telling you something profound. Your perspective has value to me. The way you see things matters. I want your mind in the room when I'm thinking through something. There's a vulnerability embedded in asking for someone's opinion that most people overlook. To genuinely ask, "What do you think?" is to open yourself to the possibility that the other person will see something you haven't seen, challenge something you believe, or redirect you in a direction you weren't planning to go. That kind of openness requires trust. It requires the belief that whoever you're asking will handle the contents of your uncertainty with care. And people only extend that kind of trust to people they feel deeply connected to. Watch too for how they respond when you give your opinion. Do they listen fully, even when they might disagree? Do they engage with what you've said, push back thoughtfully, carry your perspective into their thinking, even if they ultimately land somewhere different? Or do they ask and then immediately redirect back to their own view? The quality of their engagement with your answer is just as revealing as the asking itself. When someone feels genuinely connected to you, your opinion doesn't just enter their ears, it enters their thinking. They hold it, they turn it over, they let it change them, even slightly. That's not something people do for acquaintances. That's something people do for the ones they've let inside. Sign number 5. They initiate contact without reason, the language of thinking of you. Think about the last time someone reached out to you for no particular reason, no favor to ask, no information to convey, no event to coordinate, just contact, just a message that said, "Hey, I saw this and thought of you," or "I was just thinking about you and wanted to say hi," or even just a photo sent without explanation because they knew you'd appreciate it. How did that feel? There's something uniquely moving about being thought of when nothing requires it. When someone reaches out to you without agenda, without need, without obligation, when the only explanation for the contact is that your presence in their mind was strong enough to prompt action, you are witnessing one of the clearest expressions of genuine connection. This behavior maps onto what psychologists call intrusive thinking. Though in this context, intrusive is a neutral clinical term that simply means spontaneous and unwilled. People who feel deeply connected to others find that person appearing in their thoughts throughout the day, when they hear a song, when they read an interesting article, when they see something funny, when they encounter a problem they know the other person would have a unique perspective on. This isn't obsessive. This isn't unhealthy. This is simply what genuine connection does to the human mind. It integrates the other person into your ongoing internal experience of the world. You start to see things through a lens that includes them. You notice things because of them. You think about how they would respond to things. You file away experiences because they belong to both of you. And when that happens enough times, eventually the thought says, "Tell them." They should know you were thinking of them. The act of reaching out without reason is vulnerable. There's always the risk that the message will feel random or unwelcome or strange. People who send these messages are willing to take that risk because the alternative, saying nothing, keeping the thought to themselves, feels like withholding something that should be shared. When someone initiates contact with you without reason, they are offering you something simple and profound, evidence that you exist in their inner world even when you're not physically present. And that is one of the most honest expressions of connection there is. Sign number 6. They are comfortable with silence, the intimacy of shared stillness. Here is a truth that takes most people a while to learn. The ability to be comfortably silent with someone is one of the highest forms of intimacy. Think about it. With someone you've just met or someone you don't know well, silence feels like a problem to solve. Every pause becomes an awkward void to fill with words, questions, comments, observations, anything to keep the air between you from feeling too empty. Silence with a stranger is anxiety. Silence with an acquaintance is discomfort, but silence with someone you're deeply connected to, that's something else entirely. That's a kind of rest. When someone feels genuinely connected to you, they don't need to fill the space between you with constant words. They can sit beside you in the same room, each doing something different, without feeling the absence of conversation as a sign that something is wrong. They can let a phone call go quiet for a moment without rushing to break it. They can share a meal without speaking and feel the meal was shared, not wasted. This capacity for comfortable silence reflects something important. The relationship has moved beyond the performance phase. In the early stages of most connections, people are presenting. They're showing their best, most interesting, most engaging selves. They're curating what they reveal and how they reveal it. They're, in a sense, always on. This takes enormous energy, and it makes silence feel dangerous, because silence is the absence of performance, and the absence of performance makes the lack of script terrifyingly obvious. But when someone feels deeply connected to you, they are not performing for you. They are simply with you. And being with you doesn't require constant narration. Their comfort in silence is their way of saying, I don't need to impress you. I don't need to entertain you. I am at peace, simply existing in the same space as you. There's a beautiful concept in some cultures and languages for this specific experience, the peace of being comfortably together without words. It doesn't translate perfectly into English, but we all recognize the feeling when we encounter it. That sense of two people sharing the same atmosphere and finding it enough. If someone is genuinely comfortable with silence in your presence, if they can let the conversation pause without panic, if they can sit beside you without an agenda, they are offering you one of the deepest honors available in human relationship. They are telling you that your presence alone, without performance or entertainment or utility, is sufficient. And that, perhaps more than almost anything else, is what it means to feel truly safe with another person. Sign number 7. They show genuine interest in your inner world. Depth over surface. There's a difference between knowing someone's life story and knowing their inner world. Most people in your life know fragments of your biography. Far fewer know how you actually feel about your biography. Even fewer know what keeps you up at night, what you're secretly most proud of, what you believe about yourself when no one is watching, what you fear you might be getting wrong, what you hope for in the deep and private chambers of your heart. When someone feels deeply connected to you, they are drawn toward your inner world, not just your surface, not just your job and your weekend plans and your opinions on current events. They want to know what's happening inside you. They ask questions that go past the surface. How are you doing with all of that, really? What's that like for you? Is that something you've always felt, or is it newer? These questions are a form of respect. They reflect a belief that you are a complex, layered human being with an interior life worth exploring, not just a set of facts to be catalogued and filed away. Psychologist Arthur Aron developed what became known as the closeness-generating paradigm, a series of questions that gradually increase in depth and vulnerability, designed to create feelings of closeness between strangers in a laboratory setting. The study is famous partly because it works. People who ask and answer increasingly deep questions about their inner lives do feel genuinely closer to each other afterward. But what Aron's research really illuminated is that depth of inquiry creates depth of connection. When someone asks you questions that require genuine self-reflection, and when they ask those questions not as an interview but as an exploration, as two people venturing together into territory neither has fully mapped, something real happens between them. The sign to watch for is the nature of the questions someone asks you. Do they stay on the surface, facts, events, logistics, or do they go deeper, asking about feelings, beliefs, experiences, fears, and hopes? And equally important, When you give them a deeper answer than they might have expected, how do they respond? Do they meet you there, go further, offer something vulnerable of their own in return, or do they retreat back to the surface? People who feel deeply connected to you stay in the depths with you. They don't get uncomfortable when you're real. They don't change the subject when things get honest. They lean in. And that leaning in, that genuine, curious, careful interest in who you actually are, is one of the most sustaining things one human being can offer another. Sign number 8. Their pupils dilate when they look at you. The body doesn't lie. We've talked about the quality of eye contact. Now let's go deeper into the biology, because your body is communicating constantly, and some of what it communicates is almost impossible to consciously control. Pupil dilation is one of the most fascinating examples. Your pupils naturally expand and contract in response to light. That much everyone knows. But what's less widely known is that your pupils also dilate in response to emotional states. Specifically, they dilate in response to arousal, interest, and attraction. And arousal here doesn't mean exclusively romantic or sexual interest. It means any state of heightened engagement, curiosity, and connection. When someone sees something or someone they find deeply interesting and engaging, their pupils expand. This response is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system, the same system that governs the fight or flight response, and it is almost entirely involuntary. You cannot decide to dilate your pupils. You cannot fake it. Your body simply responds to what captures your genuine attention. Research has shown that people are subconsciously aware of pupil dilation in others, even when they can't consciously identify it. In studies, people consistently rate faces with slightly larger pupils as more attractive, more likable, and more trustworthy than the same faces with smaller pupils. Something in us recognizes the signal and responds to it. But the even more remarkable finding is reciprocal dilation. When two people feel deeply connected to each other and are in eye contact, their pupil sizes tend to synchronize. This pupillary synchrony, like the behavioral mirroring we discussed earlier, is another layer of the unconscious coordination that happens between people whose nervous systems feel safe with each other. Now, practically speaking, you're not going to whip out a flashlight and measure someone's pupils in the middle of a conversation. That's not the point. The point is to understand that your body is registering things your conscious mind might not have articulated yet. When someone looks at you and something feels different about the quality of their gaze, warmer, more alive, more present, your nervous system may be detecting something real. Trust those impressions. They are built on thousands of years of human evolution, specifically designed to help you read the faces of the people around you. The body doesn't lie in the ways that words sometimes do. And when someone's body is genuinely responding to your presence, that response belongs in the long list of evidence for something meaningful happening between you. Sign number 9. They protect your reputation in your absence. Loyalty that doesn't need an audience. This sign is one that, by definition, you often can't directly observe, but it may be one of the most important on this entire list. When someone feels deeply connected to you, they speak well of you when you're not in the room. Not just neutrally, not just in a "they're fine, I guess" way. They actively defend you when you're criticized unfairly. They correct misunderstandings about you. They give you the benefit of the doubt when your behavior is being interpreted uncharitably. They speak about you in terms that reflect how they actually think of you, which is, well, this is different from the social performance of loyalty, where people claim to be deeply connected to you in your presence and then say something entirely different when you're gone. Most people have encountered that kind of performative loyalty, and it leaves a particular kind of scar, a deep uncertainty about who is actually in your corner. Genuine loyalty in absence is rarer than it seems. It requires the person to prioritize their honest regard for you over social ease. Because sometimes defending someone who isn't there to defend themselves is socially costly. It can mean disagreeing with the group. It can mean being the uncomfortable voice that says, "Actually, I don't think that's a fair characterization." It can mean standing somewhat apart from the consensus in the room. People who feel deeply connected to you are willing to pay that social cost. Not because they think you're perfect, they know you're not, just as you know they're not, but because their regard for you is genuine, and genuine regard doesn't disappear when you leave the room. You'll often find out about this kind of loyalty indirectly, through a mutual friend who mentions it, through something that comes back to you months later, through an offhand comment that reveals someone stood up for you in a moment you never knew about. And when you find out, notice how it lands. Notice the warmth of it. Notice the safety. That person who defended you when there was nothing to gain from it, when no one would have known the difference if they'd stayed silent, that person feels genuinely, deeply connected to you. And that kind of loyalty is one of the rarest and most precious forms of love available in human relationship. Sign number 10. They laugh easily with you. The neuroscience of shared laughter. Laughter is one of the most underestimated forces in human connection. We tend to think of laughter as a response, something that happens after something funny. But research in neuroscience and social psychology has revealed that laughter is actually a profoundly social behavior that plays a crucial role in bonding, trust building, and the calibration of emotional safety. Neuroscientist Robert Provine spent years studying laughter in natural social settings, not in comedy clubs or joke-telling experiments, but in the actual fabric of everyday conversation. What he found was surprising. The vast majority of laughter doesn't follow jokes. It follows ordinary statements, moments of connection, shared observations, gentle ribbing between people who know each other well. Laughter, Provine found, is primarily a social signal. It says, "I am safe with you. I am open with you. My defenses are lowered enough that my body can do this involuntary, somewhat vulnerable thing in your presence." Because laughter is vulnerable. Think about it. Genuine laughter involves losing control of your face, potentially making strange sounds, possibly snorting or crying or doubling over. It is a total suspension of the careful social presentation we maintain most of the time. You cannot laugh genuinely while also managing your image perfectly. The two are mutually exclusive. So when someone laughs easily with you, not the polite, controlled social laugh, but the real thing, the involuntary thing, the one that takes them by surprise sometimes, they are revealing something important. They feel safe enough with you to be caught off guard. They feel comfortable enough to be unguarded. They feel connected enough to let something genuine happen in your presence without monitoring how it looks. And there's something else remarkable about shared laughter. When two people laugh together at the same thing, they are experiencing a moment of perfect cognitive and emotional alignment. They've both perceived the same incongruity, both found it funny, both responded to it in a similar way. That alignment, that we see this the same way experience, is deeply bonding. Shared laughter is, in a very real sense, shared understanding. It's two minds saying, yes, this, together. And that togetherness, even in something as fleeting as a moment of amusement, is the material from which genuine connection is built. If someone laughs easily with you, genuinely, freely, in the real way, they feel comfortable with you in a way that goes deeper than they might even realize. Sign number 11. They notice when something is wrong, emotional attunement and its origins. Are you okay? You seem a little off today. To receive that question, to be seen enough that someone notices a subtle shift in your emotional weather, is one of the most quietly moving experiences available in human relationship. Most people are not good at noticing, not because they're callous or self-centered, but because human attention is limited and most of it is deployed on our own inner experience. We are, by biological necessity, primary observers of ourselves and peripheral observers of others. But when someone feels deeply connected to you, something shifts in their attentional hierarchy. You move from peripheral to significant. They begin to notice not just your general presence, but your specific states, how you hold yourself today compared to how you held yourself yesterday, the subtle flatness in your voice that usually carries more energy, the way your smile arrived a half-second late, the careful neutrality in your answer to "How are you?" when they know your genuine answers are never neutral. This capacity, called emotional attunement in psychology, is typically associated with healthy parent-child relationships, where a caregiver develops such sensitivity to a child's signals that they can detect need before it's directly expressed. But it also develops naturally in any relationship where genuine care has been sustained over time and where one person has paid close, loving attention to another. When someone is emotionally attuned to you, they hold a model of you in their mind, a model that includes your typical baseline, your characteristic expressions, your normal rhythms and patterns. When something deviates from that model, they notice. And when they notice, they ask. Not intrusively, not as an interrogation, but gently, as an offering. "I see you. Is there something you need?" There is enormous healing available in being noticed. We live in a world that often rewards self-sufficiency, that praises those who handle everything internally, that can make vulnerability feel like weakness. The person who sees through that performance, who notices the dip before you've announced it, who offers care before you've asked for it, is doing something extraordinary. They are saying, "I have been paying close enough attention to you to know when you are not yourself, and you matter to me enough that I'd rather ask and be wrong than not ask and leave you alone with something." That is deep connection. That is someone who sees you, really sees you, and cares enough to respond to what they see. Sign number 12. They are vulnerable with you. The courage of choosing to be known. Brené Brown, one of the most widely known researchers on the subject of vulnerability, has spent decades studying what makes people feel connected and what prevents it. And her finding, replicated across years of research and thousands of interviews, is this: vulnerability is not a weakness, it is the birthplace of connection. When someone shares something real with you, something uncertain, something tender, something that reveals them as genuinely human in all their complexity and imperfection, they are making a choice. Because no one is required to be vulnerable. Emotional self-protection is always available, always an option. The carefully curated version of yourself, the competent, composed, socially acceptable version, is always available to deploy. Choosing to put that version down and instead to show someone the real, unedited version, the one with fears and regrets and uncertainties and dreams that feel embarrassingly big, that choice is a form of trust. And trust of that magnitude is only extended to people we feel genuinely connected to. When someone is vulnerable with you, they are giving you something they don't give freely. They're giving you access to the parts of themselves that they monitor carefully in most contexts. The failures they haven't processed, the doubts they don't usually voice, the longings they're not sure are acceptable, the parts of their history that still have rough edges. Pay attention to what they share and how they share it. Are they willing to tell you about things that didn't go well, not just the things they're proud of? Are they willing to voice uncertainty, not just conclusions? Are they willing to say, "I don't know, and I'm scared, and I'm not sure I handled that well," the things that require setting down the armor? If yes, if someone regularly lets you see the unedited version of them, they are telling you something with enormous clarity. "I trust you with me. I believe you will not use my vulnerability against me. I feel safe enough with you to be real." And the right response to that gift is equally clear. receive it carefully. Handle it with honor. Understand that being chosen as someone's safe person is one of the greatest privileges available in human life. Sign number 13. Their body turns toward you. Spatial psychology and orientation. In the study of nonverbal communication and proxemics, the science of how people use space to communicate, one of the most reliable indicators of genuine interest and connection is body orientation. When someone feels deeply connected to you, their body turns toward you, not just their face, their entire torso, what communication researchers call the social chest, orients in your direction. This might seem like a simple, obvious thing, but it's actually quite significant. Because we orient our bodies toward what we value, we orient toward what captures our genuine attention. And crucially, the torso doesn't lie the way the face sometimes can. It's relatively easy to maintain a socially appropriate facial expression, to nod and smile while your mind is elsewhere. It's much harder to maintain false body orientation. If you're not genuinely engaged with someone, your body eventually betrays you. Your feet point toward the exit, your torso angles slightly away, your shoulders open outward rather than inward toward the person in front of you. When someone is genuinely connected to you and engaged with you, the opposite happens. Their feet point toward you, their shoulders square toward you, their chest opens in your direction. In social situations with multiple people, even when they're talking to others, you may notice that some part of their body, a shoulder, a knee, the angle of their stance, maintains an orientation toward you. This orientation is especially meaningful in group settings. If someone in a group consistently positions themselves near you, angles their body toward you even when addressing others, or returns their gaze to you even while talking to someone else, these are signs of a deep attentional priority that their body is expressing without their conscious direction. There's also the proximity dimension. People regulate the physical distance between themselves and others based on their level of comfort and connection. We maintain greater distances from strangers and people we're uncomfortable with, and we allow closer proximity from people we trust and feel connected to. When someone consistently positions themselves closer to you than social convention requires, when they find reasons to be in your physical vicinity, their body is voting for your presence. The body is always communicating. The question is whether we're paying attention to what it's saying. Sign number 14. They support your growth. The difference between comfort and connection. Here's a counterintuitive sign of deep connection. Someone who genuinely cares about you will sometimes push you in directions that feel uncomfortable, not manipulatively, not to serve their own agenda, but because they see something in you, potential, capability, a direction you're avoiding out of fear, and they care enough about your actual flourishing to say the true thing rather than the easy thing. There's a distinction worth drawing here between what we might call comfort-based relationships and growth-based relationships. Comfort-based relationships are characterized by mutual validation. Each person agrees with the other, supports the other's existing self-image, avoids any friction that might disrupt the harmony. These relationships feel pleasant, but they can become stagnant. They can keep both people exactly where they are rather than supporting genuine development. Growth-based relationships are different. In these relationships, there is warmth and acceptance, deep, genuine acceptance of who you are, but also an active interest in who you might become. The person who feels deeply connected to you doesn't just love your present self. They are invested in your future self. They notice when you're capable of more than you're currently attempting, and they find gentle, caring, honest ways to point that out. This might look like a friend who asks, "Do you really want to stay in that situation, or are you just afraid of the alternative?" It might look like someone who says, "I think you're more talented than you're giving yourself credit for," And I wonder what would happen if you acted like it. It might look like someone who refuses to let you make yourself smaller than you are, who calls out your self-deprecation not with criticism, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows you better than you know yourself in that moment. The key distinction is this: the person who supports your growth does it from a place of believing in you, not from a place of thinking you're not enough. There's a world of difference between "you should change because you're inadequate" and "you should grow because you're capable of so much more, and I can see it even when you can't." When someone is invested in your growth, they are invested in you, the fullest, most developed, most realized version of you. And that investment is one of the deepest expressions of connection available in human relationship. Sign number 15. They include you in their future. Temporal integration and belonging. Language reveals intention in ways that people often don't notice consciously. Specifically, pay attention to the temporal dimension of how someone talks about the future. Do their future plans include you? Not just implicitly, explicitly, naturally, without effort or announcement. When we go to that concert next year, I want to try that restaurant. We should go sometime. That would be something you'd love. Remind me to show you. When someone feels deeply connected to you, you become integrated into their imagined future. You show up in their planning, in their fantasizing, in their casual daydreaming about what might come next. They don't think about the future and then add you as an afterthought. You're simply there, naturally, as part of the landscape of what might be. This temporal integration is psychologically significant because it reflects a particular kind of commitment. Not necessarily romantic commitment, but a commitment to continuation. A sense that whatever exists between you is not just valuable now, but worth maintaining, worth planning for, worth ensuring will still be present in the future. Think about the contrast. When someone doesn't feel deeply connected to you, the future is discussed only in immediate, concrete terms. I'll see you at the event next week, and no further. There's no casual inclusion of you in hypotheticals, no natural assumption that you'll both still be part of each other's lives when some future thing happens. But when connection is deep, the future assumes you. It doesn't have to be stated, it's simply a given. And that givenness, that natural inclusion, is one of the quietest and most honest signs that you have become genuinely important to someone's vision of their own life. Notice too, when someone says "we" instead of "I", in contexts where they didn't have to. When the pronoun shifts naturally toward inclusion, something meaningful is happening. The person doesn't just see themselves in the future, they see both of you, together, still here, still connected. That's not a small thing. That's someone saying, "I'm not planning for a future without you." Sign number 16. They apologize and mean it. Repair as an act of connection. Every relationship experiences rupture. Every connection, no matter how strong, encounters moments of misunderstanding, conflict, hurt, or disappointment. That's not a sign of a weak connection. It's simply evidence that two people with their own needs, histories, and interpretations are trying to share space in each other's lives. What distinguishes genuinely connected relationships is not the absence of rupture. It's the presence of repair. When someone feels deeply connected to you, they take ruptures seriously. They are willing to apologize, genuinely apologize, not the defensive non-apology that begins with, "I'm sorry you feel that way," and immediately pivots to explaining why the other person is wrong, but a real apology that takes ownership, expresses understanding of impact, and commits to different behavior. This kind of apology is far harder than it seems. It requires setting down the ego's instinct to self-protect and self-justify. It requires holding the other person's pain with more care than your own discomfort. It requires believing that the relationship is more important than winning the argument or maintaining the position. People offer genuine apologies to people they genuinely value. The depth of someone's willingness to take responsibility is a direct reflection of how much the relationship matters to them. When someone cares enough about the connection to swallow their pride, to look at their own behavior honestly, to say, "I got that wrong and I'm genuinely sorry," they are demonstrating that they prioritize the health of the relationship over the comfort of being right. Equally important, notice whether they repair proactively. Do they come back to things that were left unresolved? Do they bring up a conflict that passed without resolution and say, "I've been thinking about that and I want to address it properly"? That proactive repair behavior reflects a person who is carrying the relationship in their mind, who doesn't let things drift or fade because confronting them is awkward. Repair is the mechanism by which connection survives the inevitable wear of real relationship. When someone is willing to repair with you, genuinely, skillfully, repeatedly, they are demonstrating a commitment to the relationship that goes far beyond what they say when things are easy. Sign number 17. They respect your boundaries, the love language of honoring limits. Here's a sign of deep connection that often gets overlooked because it's characterized by something not happening, the absence of pressure. When someone feels genuinely connected to you and cares about you as a person, not just about what you can give them or what role you can play in their life, they respect your boundaries, not grudgingly, not with visible resentment that recedes only when they realize they can't override you, but genuinely with an interest in understanding where your limits are and honoring them because they care about your well-being. This matters because much of what passes for connection in human relationships is actually a more sophisticated form of need meeting. People invest in others because those others meet some need, for company, for validation, for support, for entertainment, for status. And as long as the other person is meeting that need, the connection feels warm and positive. But the moment that person sets a limit, "I can't do that. I need some time alone. That doesn't work for me," the nature of the relationship is revealed. If the response to your boundary is pressure, disappointment weaponized as guilt, or a pattern of attrition where the person keeps returning to the same request in different forms until you capitulate, that is not deep connection. That is investment contingent on you behaving in ways that serve the investor. But when someone feels genuinely connected to you and you set a boundary, they receive it differently. They may not always love the limit, that's honest and human, but they receive it with respect. They don't make you justify yourself extensively. They don't sulk in ways designed to make you feel punished for having a need. They honor the limit because they understand that you are a separate person with a separate interior life, and that your well-being matters to them as much as their preferences. In fact, people who are deeply connected to you often notice your limits before you articulate them. They're watching for signs of overwhelm, discomfort, or reluctance, and they adjust. They create space for you to say no without the no having to be defended. They offer options. They check in. They make it easier to be honest. That kind of respectful attention to your limits is a profound act of love. It says, "I care more about who you actually are than about who I want you to be." Sign number 18. They celebrate your successes without reservation, the rarity of genuine joy in another's success. There's an uncomfortable truth about human psychology that's worth examining honestly. Most people find it genuinely difficult to feel wholehearted, uncomplicated joy about other people's success. Not because they're bad people, because of something psychologists call social comparison. The tendency we all have to evaluate ourselves in relation to others around us. When someone we know succeeds, there is often a tiny, reflexive internal calculation. How does this compare to where I am? Does their success somehow highlight my lack of the same success? Am I supposed to be further along? This is so universal and so uncomfortable that many languages and cultures have words specifically for the phenomenon of pleasure taken in another's misfortune, precisely because joy in another's success is the more difficult and the more admirable response. When someone feels genuinely, deeply connected to you, your success genuinely pleases them, not in a way that requires any internal override or effortful generosity, but spontaneously, automatically, warmly. Your good news arrives in them as good news, period. Their first response isn't calculation, it's delight. You can feel the difference. You know what it's like to share good news with someone who responds with enthusiasm that has a slight quality of performance to it. The praise that's a half-beat too quick, too practiced, that pivots slightly too fast to their own experience. And you know what it's like to share good news with someone whose face does something unguarded and real, whose pleasure for you is simple and uncomplicated and fills the room. The latter response is a gift. It comes from someone who has fully disentangled your success from their own story. Someone who loves you enough that your wins feel, on some level, like their wins too. Not because they share the credit, but because they share the life. Because your good is genuinely good to them. Psychologist Shelley Gable calls this active constructive response, the way of responding to positive news that involves genuine enthusiasm, genuine engagement, asking questions that draw out the experience further, celebrating fully and without reservation. Her research found that how people respond to each other's positive news is actually a stronger predictor of relationship quality and durability than how they respond to negative news. Think about that. The people who celebrate you fully, who receive your good news with uncomplicated joy, are showing you something important about how they hold you. Pay attention to those people. They are among the rarest and most precious in your life. Sign number 19. They show up in difficult times, presence when it costs something. Many people are available for the easy parts. They show up for the celebrations. They engage during the good days. They're reliably present when being present is pleasant, when you're fun to be around, when the mood is light, when the demands on them are minimal. But true connection reveals itself in difficulty. Because when things are hard for you, when you're struggling, when you're grieving, when you're frightened or depleted or in some kind of pain, being present with you is no longer simply enjoyable. It costs something. It requires the person to sit with discomfort they didn't create and can't easily fix. It requires them to show up without knowing the right words, without being able to solve the problem, without the reward of seeing you respond with your usual energy and engagement. The people who show up in those moments anyway, who call when they've heard things are hard, who send a message on what they suspect might be a difficult day, who sit with you in your difficulty without trying to rush you through it or redirect you toward positivity. These people have demonstrated something that easy times never require of them. They have demonstrated that their care for you is not contingent on your performance, that they don't need you to be okay in order to be present with you, that the relationship isn't a transaction where they invest in the good moments and recede during the difficult ones. Psychologist Dan Siegel uses the concept of feeling felt to describe what happens when someone truly witnesses our experience without trying to change it. Not "I understand," spoken too quickly as a conversational bridge, but genuine, patient, engaged presence that communicates, "Your experience is real. I am here with you in it. You are not alone." This is one of the most healing things available in human life. And the people who offer it freely, who show up when it would be easier to find a reason not to, who stay when staying requires something of them, these are the people who are most deeply, most genuinely connected to you. Reflect carefully on who has shown up for you in your hardest moments. Those presences are not random. They are the map of your deepest connections. Sign number 20. They simply make you feel seen, the profound experience of genuine recognition. We've arrived at the 20th sign, and it is in many ways the one that contains all the others. To feel seen. It sounds simple. It sounds almost too obvious to count as a separate sign. But think about how rare it actually is, how relatively few people in your entire life have genuinely made you feel seen, as opposed to observed, or known, or liked, or admired, or needed. Because those are all different things. To be observed means someone has gathered information about you. To be known means someone has accumulated a record of your facts and your history. To be liked means someone enjoys your company. To be admired means someone values your accomplishments or qualities. To be needed means someone depends on your function. But to be seen, that's something else. To be seen means that someone has looked at you and received you as you actually are, not the version they need you to be, not the version that's easiest for them, not the projection of their hopes or fears or past relationships, but you, specifically you, with all of your particular complexity and contradiction and texture. To be seen means that someone has witnessed your actual inner experience and responded to it, that they've asked the right question at the right moment, offered the right word in the silence, noticed the thing you were trying to hide, honored the thing you were afraid to show, been steady in the presence of all of it. When someone makes you feel truly seen, when you leave their presence feeling more real, more yourself, more understood than you did when you arrived, something profound has occurred. Their attention has been a kind of gift, careful, patient, receptive, and genuine. The human need to be seen is ancient and urgent. Long before we had the psychological vocabulary for it, people wrote poetry and music and prayers about it. The longing to be known and accepted not in spite of being fully known, but because of it. The longing to stand in the open with no armor and still be regarded with warmth. When someone makes you feel that way, when their presence is the experience of being recognized at the level that matters most, you have found something extraordinary. You have found someone who feels genuinely, deeply connected to you. Not because of performance, not because of strategy, not because of anything you've curated or constructed, but because of the simple and profound miracle of being, in someone else's eyes, visible, real, enough, more than enough. Bringing it all together, the architecture of deep connection. So we've walked through 20 signs, 20 ways that deep connection reveals itself in the texture of human interaction. And if you've been listening carefully, you may have noticed something. None of these signs require grand gestures. None of them require wealth or status or eloquence or extraordinary circumstances. They are all built from the same materials: attention, presence, honesty, time, and care. The lingering gaze that holds a moment longer than necessary. The memory of a small thing mentioned in passing. The body that turns naturally in your direction. The celebration that arrives without calculation. The presence during difficulty when presence costs something. These are ordinary things. They happen in ordinary moments, in ordinary conversations, in ordinary days. But they are also, in their accumulation, among the most extraordinary things available in human life. Because what they add up to is this: someone has chosen to pay close, careful, genuine attention to you. And in doing so, they have made your existence more real, more witnessed, more accompanied. That's what deep connection is, at its root. Not a feeling that arrives and stays permanently, not a state that exists independently of two people doing the daily work of caring for each other, but a living thing, something created and sustained by thousands of small choices, small gestures, small moments of presence and honesty and genuine regard. The eye contact paradox, a deeper examination. Let's return to where we began, because there's more to say about eye contact specifically, more than we could contain in the first sign. Eye contact in the context of deep connection is paradoxical in a fascinating way. On one hand, it's one of the most vulnerable things we do. The eyes are often called the windows to the soul, not poetically, but functionally. The emotional states visible in the eyes are extraordinarily difficult to mask. A forced smile reaches the mouth, but rarely the eyes. Real amusement, real sadness, real fear, real love. These states show up in the eyes in ways that bypass our conscious control. This means that sustained eye contact is an act of mutual exposure. When you look into someone's eyes with genuine presence, you are both seeing and being seen. You are both witnessing and being witnessed. The exchange is symmetrical in a way that most forms of communication are not. And this symmetry is why genuine eye contact between people who feel deeply connected to each other has a quality that's almost impossible to fully describe. A quality of mutual recognition, of simultaneous arrival, of two people standing in the open at the same time and finding that the open is safe. Research has explored what happens when people gaze into each other's eyes for extended periods, and the findings are consistently striking. People report feeling an increased sense of closeness, increased feelings of self-transcendence, and sometimes a dissolution of the ordinary sense of self-other boundary. These experiences are not mystical in the pejorative sense. They reflect real changes in brain state, real shifts in neural activity, real experiences of the nervous system settling into a different relationship with the present moment. In the Zen tradition, there is a concept sometimes translated as direct pointing, the idea that genuine understanding can be transmitted directly from one being to another without the mediation of words or concepts. Whatever you think of that tradition, something in that idea maps onto what happens in genuine eye contact. Something passes between people that language cannot fully capture, and it passes through the eyes. This is why so many of the most significant human moments happen in eye contact. The moment of love recognized, the moment of loss shared, the moment of understanding arrived at after long confusion, the moment of forgiveness extended, the moment of welcome extended to someone who has felt long unwelcome. The eyes carry what language sometimes cannot. And when someone looks at you with the particular quality of eye contact that says, "I am here with you, fully, right now," when their gaze holds both warmth and clarity, both presence and respect, you know it immediately. Something in you recognizes it in the way your body recognizes music, not through analysis, but through direct response. That recognition is, perhaps, the most precise and honest measure of genuine connection available to us. The neuroscience of deep human bonds. Why connection is biological. Let's take a moment to explore the scientific foundation of what we've been discussing, because understanding the biology of connection helps explain why these 20 signs feel the way they do, why they land in the body, not just the mind. Human beings are the most social species on Earth. We don't just prefer company, we are physiologically designed for it. Our nervous systems are calibrated by relationship. Our stress response systems are regulated by social contact. Our immune function, our cardiovascular health, our cognitive performance. All of these are influenced profoundly by the quality and presence of our social connections. Neuroscientist John Cacioppo, who spent his career studying the effects of loneliness on the human body, found that chronic social disconnection activates the body's threat detection systems in the same way that physical danger does. Loneliness doesn't just feel bad, it functions in the body as a biological emergency signal. Conversely, deep social connection activates the body's safety systems, reducing cortisol levels, down-regulating inflammatory responses, supporting immune function, promoting cognitive clarity. In other words, connection is not a luxury, it is a biological necessity. And this is why the 20 signs we've explored today feel significant in ways that go beyond social pleasantry. When someone gazes at you with genuine warmth, or remembers the small things, or shows up in your difficulty, your nervous system responds to these signals because it is built to respond to them. These are not arbitrary social conventions. They are biological signals of safety, belonging, and care. Your body knows the difference between genuine connection and its absence before your conscious mind has finished analyzing it. This is also why fake connection, the performative kind, the transactional kind, the kind that shows up only when it's convenient, doesn't satisfy the deep human hunger for genuine relationship. Because your nervous system isn't easily fooled. It can distinguish between warmth and performance. It can tell the difference between someone who is genuinely present with you and someone who is going through the social motions. When you find the real thing, when you're in the presence of someone who is genuinely, deeply connected to you, your nervous system knows it. Your breathing changes slightly. Your muscles release a small amount of tension you didn't know they were holding. Something in you arrives. That arrival is real. It is biological. It is one of the oldest and most important experiences available to the human body, and it is what all 20 of these signs, at their deepest level, are pointing toward. The role of time. How deep connection develops. One thing worth examining carefully is the relationship between time and deep connection. Because while it's possible to feel a powerful and immediate sense of resonance with someone, and that resonance is real and worth honoring, the kind of deep connection we've been describing today is generally built over time. Not always a long time, but time that has been used well. Time that has included both the easy moments and the difficult ones. Time that has been characterized by the consistent presence of the signs we've described, the remembered details, the genuine presence, the vulnerability offered and carefully received. There's a concept in psychology called earned secure attachment. The idea that even people who did not grow up with secure, healthy attachment in childhood can develop something that functions similarly through consistent, trustworthy relationships in adulthood. And what's striking about the research on earned secure attachment is what it identifies as the key ingredients: relationships that are reliable, that involve genuine attunement, that survive rupture through skillful repair, that offer consistent care over time. Every one of those ingredients is present in the 20 signs we've discussed today. This is important because it means deep connection is not the exclusive domain of people who got everything right in childhood, or people who happen to be naturally charismatic or socially gifted, or people who somehow stumbled into particularly fortunate circumstances. Deep connection is available to anyone who is willing to do the consistent, sometimes difficult, always meaningful work of showing up genuinely for another person. It requires presence. It requires honesty. It requires care for the other person as a separate, full human being with their own interior life. It requires the willingness to be vulnerable, to repair honestly when things go wrong, to celebrate genuinely when things go right. None of these things are complicated in concept. All of them are challenging in practice, and all of them, when practiced consistently over time, build something that is genuinely one of the greatest available to human life: the experience of being deeply known and deeply valued by another person. What to do with this information? Applying the 20 signs. So you've spent significant time exploring these 20 signs. You have a richer, more nuanced picture of what deep human connection looks like in practice. What do you do with this? A few thoughts. First, inventory your relationships with fresh eyes. Think about the people in your life and consider which of these 20 signs appear consistently in your interactions with them. You may find that some relationships you've taken somewhat for granted are actually characterized by many of these signs, and that recognition is worth pausing for. Deep connection, when you see it clearly, deserves acknowledgement and gratitude. Second, notice where these signs are absent. not as a reason for judgment or rejection, but for clarity. Not every relationship needs to be deeply connecting. Some relationships serve other purposes, professional, circumstantial, enjoyable in their own lighter ways. But if you've been investing significant emotional energy in a relationship that, when you examine it carefully, shows few of these signs, that information matters. It can help you calibrate how much of yourself to bring to that particular dynamic. Third, consider which of these signs you are offering to others. Connection is not only something to receive, it's something to create. Are you someone who remembers the small things? Are you showing up in other people's difficult moments? Are you making genuine eye contact, mirroring naturally, celebrating without reservation, being vulnerable, honoring boundaries? The relationship between what you receive and what you offer is closer than most people realize. Fourth, if you find that you have people in your life who show many of these signs toward you, tell them. This is perhaps the most underutilized relationship skill there is. Simply telling the people who are deeply connected to you that you recognize the gift of that connection, that you see what they've been doing, that it matters to you, that you're grateful. Words, honestly spoken, still hold extraordinary power. And some of the people who are most consistently showing up for you may not know how seen they are by you in return. A final reflection on the courage of genuine connection. We've covered an enormous amount of ground today. We've moved through 20 signs, through neuroscience and psychology and evolutionary biology, through the quiet, extraordinary moments in which genuine human connection announces itself without fanfare. But I want to close with something that ties it all together. Genuine, deep human connection requires courage. Not the dramatic kind of courage. Not the kind that involves running into burning buildings or making grand declarations. The quieter, more demanding kind. The courage to show up fully for another person. The courage to let yourself be seen when concealment is safer. The courage to remember what matters to someone and bring it back to them at the right moment. The courage to stay when it would be easier to go. The courage to apologize when your pride is fighting you. The courage to celebrate someone else's success without calculation. The courage to look into someone's eyes and let them look back. This kind of courage is available to every one of us. It doesn't require special circumstances or remarkable gifts. It requires only the decision, repeated daily, to value genuine human connection above the comfort of self-protection. And when two people make that decision, when two nervous systems come to recognize each other as safe, when two people build between them the architecture of real regard, what results is one of the most profoundly meaningful experiences available in human life. Not perfect, not without difficulty, not without the ordinary friction of two full human beings sharing space in each other's lives, but real, honest, sustaining, generative, the kind of connection that makes you feel more like yourself, not less. The kind that expands your sense of what's possible rather than contracting it. The kind that, when you're in it, makes the whole complicated, sometimes overwhelming, always unpredictable experience of being human feel somehow more worth it. That's what these 20 signs are pointing toward. Not a checklist for evaluating relationships with clinical detachment, but an invitation to recognize and value the extraordinary thing that happens when two human beings choose to genuinely see each other. It happens in a gaze that holds a moment longer than necessary. It happens in a remembered detail from a conversation weeks ago. It happens in a comfortable silence, in a wholehearted celebration, in a gentle showing up during difficulty, in a genuine apology, in a body that turns toward you even when no one's watching. It happens in 1,000 small moments, in the ordinary daily fabric of lives that have chosen to be woven together. And when it's real, when you find it, when you recognize it, when you see it clearly for what it is, hold it carefully. Because genuine connection is not common, and it is not accidental. It is chosen, again and again, by people who understand that the single most extraordinary thing one human being can offer another is the sustained, genuine, courageous gift of their full attention and their wholehearted presence. That is deep connection, and if you're lucky enough to find it, you'll recognize it now. Thank you for spending this time exploring what it truly means to feel deeply connected to another person. If this has resonated with you, think about someone in your life who demonstrates these signs, and perhaps reach out to them today. Genuine connection